book. It was challenging, the first one.
Because he wanted to be in the place of love.
Somebody came up with the idea.
And he was 100% accurate in his prediction.
Selenium, iodine, or calcium, you don't have to know any of that stuff. All you have to be able to do is chew.
So without any further ado, I would like to introduce someone who's a very brilliant man. He had a very difficult upbringing, as many of us did, and he had many, many health challenges. And often he was given up for not going to be able to survive. There were a variety of things, I think bleeding ulcers, degenerative arthritis. He didn't speak. And so while he was very brilliant and became a mathematician and worked for Smithsonian and Apollo, he really didn't have his health and his vitality. So he left that life and he went on a journey to find how to thrive in this world. And that's how he came to discover the sprouts growing in the compost heap and introduces all the sprouting and fermenting and so forth, and really found a way to regain his vitality. And since then, he shared that with hundreds of thousands of people through the Hippocrates Health Institute, which he is the co-founder of. And it's truly my pleasure to introduce him to you today. And I'll be just as excited as you are to hear what it is he's going to talk about. So let's give a warm welcome to Viktoras.
I'm going to talk. Hello? Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay. We're going to talk through music. So I am accompanied by Blanchard, Brooks Blanchard. His sister is a very famous comedian, and he is an exceptional accompanist flutist. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you. I just have to get used to having music surrounding me. And so much beauty and so much transformation that is taking place. I just meet so many people that are so grateful to Mark Becker and what he has done for New York City. One woman stopped over, an Indian woman, a geologist, with a PhD program who's working on water system pollution. She says, I went to one lecture, I volunteered, all of a sudden a neck pain, shoulder pain that she had for over 20 years is gone. She went to another lecture and her life has been transformed. And she's a scientist, and these people are, some of them are quite flaky. She is just one of hundreds and thousands who are totally enjoying this experience, as I'm sure you are. Mark has been in this for a long time. I recall one cold winter day, I was living on Grand, at the corner of Grand and Lafayette in Chinatown. You know where that is. And in a very nice flat. It was purely Oriental, and I was coming back late. By late, in a sense, by maybe Arkansas standards, it was around 1 o'clock in the morning. And I run into Mark. He was driving by, and he says, Victor, I have a chance to buy Whole Life Foods, the magazine, Whole Life. I says, what do you think? That was the time, if you guys recall, when I was on the cover as the Godfather of Wheatgrass, and they had an expose on the airplane game, and how they ended up stealing all the magazines and burning them because they exposed everybody in the industry. I says, Mark, it's going to be your best investment. Well, he never regretted it. He's got a great magazine, he's got a great industry, and he's a great contributor. And now he's going network marketing, because it is the business of sharing. It is a way of making a difference in your life with quality products. Many of the network companies offer quality products that are not available through normal channels. And also, Wall Street Journal just this year had a lengthy article on how network marketing business represents the #1 exponential growth trend with high level of success. And one of the most attractive features, not only quality foods, is called tax evasion. Because it gives you so many, all of a sudden when you have a business, you got so many parts of your life that at one time it was called personal. Now all of a sudden becomes a business expense. And all of a sudden the income that you receive, maybe you got a job just above broke, but you are able to write off all your expenses that are associated with the job, and all of a sudden your job income drops down to maybe half. And can you imagine what happens to your taxes? Nothing like having a losing business. Tax write-offs. I recall one year when I was extremely successful, I bought a company that was bankrupt with over $200,000 in debt. Can you imagine what it did to my taxes? Ooh, delightful. We didn't pay taxes that year. So anyways, there's opportunity available, and Mark is looking out for the New Yorkers. What is cool and great and what is going to make a difference. I'm going to not talk too much today. Instead, I'm going to offer a lot more time for question and answers, because many of you come to these events and leave unfulfilled because you had that inkling, that burning desire to articulate yourself, either just to get up and say something, or you had something deep that many other people are probably inquiring. I recall on the nutritional panel yesterday, oh my God, we had a lot of fun. I bet some of you were there. My God, thank God we didn't have any of our food in our pockets. We would have been throwing at one another, the speakers. There was just so much excitement. Well, nobody got any questions in. We're going to get you the questions. We're going to do that also at the workshop. Half of the workshop is going to be question and answers. The other part is going to be dealing with rejuvenation. How many like the idea of turning the biological markers backwards? Yeah. Now, where the hell is that dial? Is it in your belly button, or is it around your genitals? Or is it in your head? Well, it's everywhere. You've got to learn how to work with them. And diet is just one of the factors. And if you do the diet correctly, you can start talking to God on 24/7. I mean, it's nice. Cleansing and detoxification, alkalizing, re-enzymizing, revectorizing, re-oxygenating your system. It's fun. It's exciting. And you can do it in your own bathroom, in your own kitchen. Be your own doctor. Practice brain surgery at home. My book, Survival, it has a section on the science of happiness. How many of you are addicted to security, sensation, and power, would like to get rid of the addiction, which is driving you crazy, as well as the tapes and the CDs you are playing endlessly in your head? You can do it. You can be free to experience the stillness and enjoy the spontaneity and be into the now every moment of your life. Experience happiness, which is a choice, and it's a choice that you make in every moment. But in order to fuel that happiness button, you got to also have your electrical circuits in place. If you have a lot of resistance due to insecticides and fatty pesticides that are blocking the energy flow in your electro wiring, you're not going to be very successful. No matter how much unconditional love you pour out, and how much praying and how many affirmations you're going to incantate, they do help. I am all for it. I recall one time I needed $7,000 to pay off a bill. All of a sudden I just pulled out my incantation system and I went on. I am the life and the resurrection of my finances. I am the life and the resurrection of my finances, etc. Now made manifest in my hands and used within 3 days. Within 3 days, 2 individuals appeared in my life. One wrote a check for a consultation, $5,000. He was a head of the board of directors of General Motors. The other one owned a toy factory called Color Forms from Costa Rica. He called me up. He says, Victor, you've been so generous with your time. Is there some kind of a gift I could give you? I says, $2,000 will work. No. That stuff is great, it works, but you cannot have any doubts. I had not a single bit of doubts that that is going to appear in my pocket within 3 days. It did. Doubting Thomas, don't get action. Commitment to a path and synchronicity and spontaneity and all the essential components for getting your act together start coming into your life. How do you do that? Well, I prayed for many years, but again, I was a little bit of a doubting Thomas, but I knew that the power of asking. I suffered, I was in pain 2 to 3 days every week with the most excruciating migraines where I would engage in vomiting, ripping my pleuris. I could hardly breathe when you rip it. But I kept believing that there was going to be a better way, and yet I started my suffering at early years. That is something, kept believing. And sometimes it has to do with cycles. When you get really engaged. Some of you know astrology. Probably far fewer know numerology. But just go to Google and punch in the word numerology plus free and go to 3 or 4 websites and put in your name and date of birth. You will be amazed how right on will be your life unfoldment, your past, your now, and your future. You are predetermined. You either align yourself with a cosmic creator that orchestrated out of the zodiac and you dived into this planet Earth on the shoestrings of a cosmic puppeteer that allowed you to think you are free, or you choose to become totally aligned with why you are here. You are not here to get stoned, to become unconscious, to blimp out on calories. You are not here for pain and suffering. All those things are self-induced because we have lost our connection to the source, and that happens through the first addiction that is initiated on you by your parents. Lovingly, but cultural ignorance is not necessarily the beginning of bliss. They force-fed you cooked food, and you became addicted. I said force-fed you because you resisted with every ounce of strength that tiny little 9, 10-pound body could muster up as it fought back and spit and vomited and threw up at the mother and father as they tried to put the garbage down their throat. And eventually, this acid food acidified you. and it weakened, and you could not reflex anymore, and now it went down the gastrointestinal tract, which was still alkaline, and it would spill it out through the anus, and defecation, and you had diarrhea, blah, blah, blah. But then that became acidified. And as that became acidified, you started moving in sluggishness, constipation, and absorption of these toxic cooked food. Eventually, you got all the childhood diseases that the doctors promise you. These are cleansing diseases for getting the damn cooked food out of your system, which is interfering with all the biological process. When that could not keep up, all your skin became eruptions. Practically 95% of our children have skin conditions. What started happening is next, you started piling it up in your lymphatic and your cardiovascular system. I had coffee with Dr. Paul Dudley White. You know who he is? Too young for your generation. I'm 70-ish. Dr. Paul Dudley White was the President Eisenhower's personal physician. He used to get together with John Gardenheimer, who was the romancer of Ann Wigmore. Yes, she did have romances. And I would join them occasionally at this Rexall drugstore, and they would talk about everything. And Dr. Dudley White, he says, he was concerned about the 3-year-old children having cardiovascular degeneration already. Well, you can imagine why. Dr. Arnon, 15-year study showed the impact of pasteurization. When pasteurization was introduced, all forms of cardiovascular degenerative diseases just went off the scale. And what do babies indulge in? Pasteurized dairy products. If they're allergic, they're giving soy, or they're giving also some enzymes to help them digest the pasteurized dairy products. But it doesn't work that well. So the body keeps getting more and more plugged up, and more things are retained. Eventually start showing up. You're getting kind of bigger. Not only muscularly, which is often not the case, but fattingly, you are getting bigger. And we're looking finally at this fantastic period in history when 60% of our generation has gotten big. Too big for their britches. And now, one of the newest breakthroughs, somebody says they got new breakthrough on, instead of stapling your stomach, I says, hold on, I got it. They're going to pop some balloons in there. And sure enough, they put balloons in your stomach, blow it up, so you don't feel hungry. You're filled with air. You can do that kind of surgery yourself. Just have a long tube, swallow a balloon, blow it up, and you won't feel hungry. That's the craziness of our institutions. Yet everybody's hungry for real nutrition. When you start getting your nutrient needs met, your insatiable hunger disappears, unless you are an emotionally wounded individual that is running nonstop those CDs, organic compounds created by your hypothalamus, that makes you feel unhappy. 2 states of emotions, either happy or unhappy, nothing else. All these other derivatives, whether you're looking at fear, anxiety, manic depression, schizophrenia, or you're looking at joy, bliss, ecstasy, they're all just either happy or unhappy. Well, it's the tapes that are being played. Shut off those tapes, keep them still, keep them quiet. Just turn left, turn right, look up, look down. Hey, that's an eye exercise too. Do you realize your mind will forget what you were thinking? Just keep doing that. Eventually, you lose the power for running this system of self-sabotage. That is what is possible. or just sing, or play music, or dance. Just go wild, or run, or do physical activity. All the positive antidepressants that make you feel fantastic during the day. Go through it. Meditate. Not only do you ask for the Creator, the Creatoress, for guidance, whatever your needs are, but ask also to be connected to the source of what your life is meant to be, what it's meant to express in this incarnation. What is your place of passion? Where does your joy rest? And then go into stillness, that silence, that meditation, and the answers will come right and left. And just Mr. Iyengar, he said the Westerners are not really capable of doing vertical meditation. Too much weak muscles, too flabby, too much poor quality nutrition for too many years. Lay down. Get into experiencing deeper, deeper levels of relaxation. Weeks go by and eventually you'll find that you might even find complete removal of the gravitational field between your astral body and your physical body, and you can float up and do astral travel. I taught many prisoners how to get out of their cells, experience a larger world by mastering relaxation at night, and to be freed of the bars that inhibit them. And if you go still deeper, you'll hear the most beautiful inner music, a C note, a stillness that will go into more and more intensity, where it will explode with sound. Your whole body will vibrate and turn into light. Then you're at the doorsteps of creation. Nothing is impossible in that space. And all of you have access. The greatest amount in any spiritual teachings, they say the hardest posture to master in yoga, it's not like the one I twisted my legs around my neck and walked on my hands. That's not the hardest one. I have it on the back cover of my Survival in the 21st Century, about 15 years ago, taking pictures. No, the hardest one is just learning to disengage your mind and connect to the source. We support a very powerful sister, Mother Susan in India. She hasn't eaten for over 15 years, 50 years. She never sleeps. She just serves the poor. She communes all the time with all sources of masters, past, present, and future. There is no time or space. It's just that we locked ourselves into this body and have become more and more dense with accumulation of incompletely metabolized fats, proteins, and starches due to lack of enzymes that eventually leads the starch, fat, and protein turning acid, rancid, and putrefactive, which is not only stenching you, but also at the same time reducing your electrovoltage, because all the products of incomplete metabolism are acid. And when you have acidity, every one of your cells are tiny little batteries. The electrovoltage, as your body borrows alkaline nutrients out of the cytoplasm to neutralize the acidification of the blood, the electrovoltage diminishes for every alkaline component you remove from your cells, and it keeps dropping, and your strength diminishes, and you become old and acidic. And then you die because you don't have enough electricity going on you. The most electrifying foods are wheatgrass juice, blue-green algae, sprouts, sea vegetables, all the greens in a raw state. Once you cook them, they just don't do that job. It disorganizes its structure, and it acts at about 5% capacity in terms of bioenergy that is needed for the minerals to participate in the chemical reactions. So realkalize, reenzymize, how important are they? Well, not only is it digestion the number one cause for doctor's visit, the number one cause for absentee from work, the number one cause for visits to the hospital and surgery, digestive disorders. That's the statistics from the medical community. Yet how do you get rid of digestive disorders? I recall a man that, we've been trying to educate him on the power of enzymes and kept educating, and he said, and joined us at one particular time at a horse races, and after the races went out to eat, and he ordered a big Italian dinner meal, a small salad, wine, dessert, coffee, the whole gambit. And I said to him, I thought you had digestive problems. He said, I do. He says, I want to see your magic bullet. 5 enzymes. Not a burp out of him. He was convinced most of the people on planet Earth consume cooked foods. All other living forms other than humans live on non-cooked food, enzymatically active food. This is the food that has a strong auric field. You know what an auric field, when you take Kirlian photographies of a leaf, a raw leaf shows energy field dispersion way out. When you cook it, there's no energy field associated with it. And when a person eats living foods, their light shows. There was, at one of the expos, a man with one of those $50,000 chromatography machines that takes pictures from the red end of the spectrum. So it's the heat generation. Everybody's pictures who were taken, who are non-vegan, showed hardly any facial definition. When you took the vegans, already had a high level of definition. When you took the raw foodists, the ears, everything, face, hands, showed high definition because there's circulation, there's energy flowing. So we need to think in terms of the power of alkalinity and the power of time. And you can have all the time you want. Come to my workshop and we will address question and answers, because through proper management of the biological markers, you can turn the time frame back. You can even jumpstart your life with superfoods. My own grandmother, she would have had Alzheimer's disease and also was bedridden, incapable of getting out on her own. She had to be assisted in everything. 4 weeks on superfoods, blue-green algae, enzymes, cayenne, and a mild herbal laxative. Within 4 weeks, she had no more Alzheimer's disease. She took care of a household of 5 people for another 3 years. She refused to make lifestyle changes. Another client, Noel Johnson, he made the lifestyle changes, got into grazing, read my book Survival, ate only enough to satisfy hunger, got into exercising, water drinking, enjoying his life, having a good time. Well, he ends up writing a book. Dud at 70, stud at 80. In his mid-90s, he's still running marathons. It's up to you. Age is not the defining factor. You are the defining factor. As Dr. Christopher, a great herbalist, has said, There are no incurable diseases, only incurable personalities. God bless you. Please visit me at Viktoras, VIKTORAS.org, as well as if you have questions, I'd like to address a few of them at this moment. Please speak up loudly.
All right, in blue.
Victoria, two questions. Whatever happened to the business that you bought, number one? You mentioned this early on in your presentation. And number two is, what do you feel about whey proteins or organic whey proteins?
Organic whey proteins are better than choosing the processed protein, the isolated proteins. However, the best protein for bodybuilding, and I attested to it in my book Survival, you can gain between 1 and 3 pounds of lean muscle mass if you fall lean muscle mass when you do resistance training, and at the same time you get adequate rest and eat around the clock if you wanted to, namely eating small meals about 2 cups in size every 2 to 3 hours of high calorie soaked seeds and nuts, some dried fruit, as well as also avocados, sprouted grains. I've showed it successfully both on the 3 pounds per week lean muscle mass growth, which meant I was eating, like I said, around the clock. I did that for 2 weeks and I gained 6 pounds. But that is something like what a baby does during the early stage of growth and development. It eats around the clock whenever it's hungry. It asks for food, it rests, and it exercises. So I went on the baby program. Then I went on the bodybuilding program for 4 months. I ate 6 meals to 5 meals a day, again, about 500 to 600 calories per meal, highly concentrated, super nutritious type of foods, blue-green algae, soaked nuts and seeds, black mission figs, banana, and smoothies, and as well as sprouted grains with soaked sunflower seeds, avocado, and olive oil. It does work. I don't particularly recommend. What business was that in reference to? I don't
The
recall.
one you got the money from the toy maker for.
Oh, the money. Oh, no, that was to pay off a research project that I've done.
You bought a company for $200,000.
Oh, that you lost the tax write-off.
Oh no, that was that was my accountant. I don't keep track of these things. That's silly.
I just want to say very quickly, if you'd like to be on, sorry, Nick. If you'd like, he's used to it. If you want to be on our email list and you didn't get the little paper, or you did, be sure to give it to me. And is there another question?
In the black.
Yeah. What about if you, Viktoras, what about if you cannot eat around the clock, like the occupation I have, you have to keep working? So you're limited.
First of all,
So what if you can't eat around the clock?
yes. First of all, that is just an experimental, what is done by professional bodybuilders who are involved in competition. You don't look like you're going to be in competition. If you want to gain weight, you do the program that I suggested. Namely, during the day, you eat 5 to 6 meals of about 500 calories each, and practice resistance training 3 times a week. You will put on lean muscle mass, and you will reduce and get rid of the fat buildup that you have in your system. Okay?
All right, in the yellow here.
Victor, I heard you talk last year. You gave an excellent insight on the nature of cancer and how to counter it. Would you, for the newcomers, refresh us on that thought?
Yeah. The question was on the theoretical foundation for cancer, and it has been proven out within our clinical experience at Hippocrates Health Institute. We have oncologists on our staffs right now, and we have been doing cancer research for over 40 years. And we have had exceptional success with for instance, leukemia, about 3 weeks to 6 weeks, complete reversal of leukemia. If you're looking at lung or breast cancer, 4 months. Now, was the whole idea behind it is that, as the gentleman inquired, is that 35 years ago, I had been very strongly impressed by the results we were getting. So of the success we had with cancer, about 60% of the clients that come to Hippocrates are with cancer. Others are there for lifestyle upgrade and etc. and with other conditions like diabetes. And we have success with all of them because degenerative diseases are nothing more than accumulation of incompletely metabolized macromolecules of protein fragments as well as other stress factors emanating from the environment and also the thoughts that you are continuously generating. So all of these can be part of your toxemia frontier. When the toxemia starts becoming more and more pronounced, namely incompletely metabolized protein, what starts happening is the work, I quote all this from medical journal studies, and I'm not going to bother quoting them. I'm just going to tell you it's in Survival in the 21st Century. It's the first documented book on holism and documents all from medical journals because I wanted to set up communication between my clinical experiences and that of the medical community. I used the abstracts and research data from the medical community to prove my points, okay? So when you are ingesting incompletely metabolized protein due to exhaustion of enzymes that are needed to digest protein, fragments get into your system and they interfere with oxygen transport and reducing your oxygen absorption as much as 60%. Dr. Otto Warburger, Nobel Prize recipient, showed that by merely taking normal tissue cultures of your body and putting them in an environment where you reduce the oxygen levels by as low as 30%, what happens is within 48 hours, cells will have mutated to cancer cells. They function and are totally cancerous cells. Cancer cells have been referred to in medical journals, LePage, Dr. Midler, and others as protein dumps, nitrogen traps, vacuum cleaners for circulatory protein. Even Harvard University said in May of 2002, you can find it in the science section of New York Times, stated, I believe May 3rd, stated that all diseases have their origin, whether you're looking at Alzheimer's disease, or you're looking at asthma or emphysema, or you're looking at diabetes or cardiovascular diseases and cancer. And they listed all of them. This was from top office of Harvard Medical School, okay? You can't go any better than that. And they said all diseases are due to the inflammatory conditions created within your bloodstream by the circulation of incompletely metabolized protein fragments. Can you get any better than that? I was doing this research already 35 years ago, and it's quoted in my book, Survival. So what they do is they interfere with the oxygen situation. They interfere with the oxygen transport situation and causes cells to mutate into cancer cells. But cancer cells have the ability to suck up circulatory protein 20 times faster than normal cells and get it out of circulation so that you don't die from asphyxiation. Number one nutrient required for every biological process, metabolic process in your body is oxygen. And if oxygen is removed from your system due to lack of oxygen because you're flooding it with proteins and heat-treated fats, well, your body has a solution. It adapts itself. Now, the enzymes are the key driving force in terms of recovery, and number two biggest factor is why is it not, it's not only from diet, the incomplete metabolized protein, but also from tissue breakdown. Tissue breakdown that is due to acidity within your system, and you can combat it with realkalization, blue-green algae, wheatgrass, green juices, green soups, all those things. Even now, Dr. Oz, a cardiologist on Oprah, says, if you want to stay healthy, stay alkalized, and to stay alkalized, drink every day, at least one time a day, a green smoothie. Okay, we have to stop. Thank you very much. We'll be having a workshop, and I want to mention also